You want to be confident, you want to be able to talk to absolutely anyone, but you think that you're too shy and you think that you're too introverted. But guess what? I'm naturally introverted as well. I have managed to come out of my shell. I can talk to absolutely anyone now. I can walk into a room and feel like the most confident person, and I want you guys to be able to do that too. What you have to say does matter. It is valid. Your opinion is your opinion and you are entitled to that. You are allowed to say whatever you want to say within reason. You might be putting yourself down thinking what you have to say isn't important, but I promise you it is. It's better to say something than nothing. Like, if I was having a conversation with you and you said something that sounded a bit silly, I'd be thinking, well, it's better than her sitting there in silence, isn't it? You know, maybe it would make the atmosphere more lighthearted and funny. You know, it's not always a bad thing. Even if you do say something silly, it's fine, just laugh it off. This was such a big thing for me at college, which wasn't even that long ago. I mean, that was what, like 4 or 5 years ago for me. But the transformation between then and now is crazy. But I remember I was sat in college and I was in a group of very, very intelligent people, and they would be sat there talking about the economy, politics, and like stuff that I didn't know about back then. I didn't really care about stuff like that back then. Like, that just was not my focus. I had points to make, right? They were chatting about the economy or whatever, and I was thinking, oh, I could say this, oh, I could say that, and I just wouldn't say it. I just said it in my head, and then I was like, hang on, don't say that because it might be wrong, or you might look stupid, or they might have a different opinion to me and then question me on it, and then I'm going to panic and I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, my opinion's wrong, what I have to say is just a load of rubbish, maybe they think it's boring what I have to say. I wish I had just said it and just contributed to the conversation. And it's because they were so intelligent, and I just thought, oh my gosh, they're probably going to think I'm wrong whatever I say. But actually, whatever you have to say is valid and it's your opinion. And even if you're wrong, which you're probably not, it doesn't matter. They're your friends or they're your colleagues or they are just humans at the end of the day. Who actually cares? Who actually cares? Most of those people, right, I don't even talk to anymore. Like, I don't see them. So does that even matter? Even if I was completely wrong, even if they all sat there, right, and they all laughed at me and was like, oh my god, what did you say that for? Which they wouldn't, by the way, because they wouldn't do that. But if they did, that would be so irrelevant now. It doesn't even matter. Unless you're talking about maths equations, which you're probably not if you're just having a conversation with someone, then you're not wrong. So you do have a voice. And if people think you're boring, if people think you're wrong, go talk to someone else. You know, you're wasting your time on them, to be honest. Talking to people does require confidence, and it does require coming out of your comfort zone. I remember my first ever business class at school, right? And I remember I was so nervous. I was like talking to my family. I was like, what do? I don't know how to have a conversation. I don't know how to approach someone. What if people don't like me? What if people think I'm weird? What if people laugh at me? Like, what do I talk about? I was so stressed. I went from that to then going to my first ever business class in university, and it was like two different people. It was the biggest transformation I've seen in my life. I felt like the most confident person there. None of us obviously knew each other. It was the first day of uni and I felt amazing. I was like, I can talk to any of you. Do you know what the one mindset I had was? Fake it till you make it. And I know it sounds so cringe, okay, but that's what I did. You act how a confident person would act. No one knows any different because no one knows you, especially if you're going into a new workplace, if you're going into a new university class and you don't know anyone. They have no expectations from you. They don't know who you are. They don't know that you're shy. They don't know that you're introverted. So you can be whoever you want to be. And this still applies even if you aren't meeting new people. If you're going to see the same people, you can be whoever you want to be. And it is kind of the game of like fake it till you make it. You need to be acting how a confident person would act. People who are confident, people who are good at talking, people who are good conversationalists, they put themselves out of their comfort zone and they do things, they approach people. You're not going to grow if you're just sitting back and just sat there thinking, oh, no one's coming to talk to me. You need to initiate conversation, and that is the start, and that does require confidence, and you need to build that. But the only way to build it is by putting yourself in the situation where that allows you to build it. So initiate conversation. The first person you see Whether you do this every single day when you go into your class or your work, you initiate the first conversation. And it sounds like a lot of pressure, but it's actually not. If you hear me out, you're going to go over and ask them a question. You're going to put it on them. They're the one that has to do the talking. You've just asked the question. Oh, you know, it could literally be something so simple like, how's your weekend? And that's initiating the conversation. It will naturally flow from there. Don't overthink it. Asking questions, it is the easiest way to start a conversation. It's the easiest way to continue a conversation if you want it to keep going. A good conversationalist does hold a conversation very well, and that is asking questions. And obviously, don't make the mistake of turning it into an interview. You don't want to be firing questions one after the other. You want to ask a question, then talk about it. You make comments on bits and pieces, and then once you feel like that conversation is dying out, then ask another one. If they don't ask one about you, if they are a good conversationalist, they should ask you one back, really, but obviously they might not. So you need to keep asking questions because people love to talk about themselves. Everyone just loves it. Like, you ask someone about, if you're at work and someone has grandchildren and you say, how's your grandchildren? I guarantee they won't stop talking about their grandchildren because they love them and they love talking about them and they're proud of them. So talk about something they care about, and then you can easily spark conversation from that. And it's a lot easier than you think. I remember I used to find this so hard. I was like, what if they think that's boring? What if they think what I've got to say is irrelevant? It doesn't matter at all. Just get in there, ask the questions. And like I said, asking questions is the easiest place to start with if you were sort of starting from scratch and you don't know how to do this at all. And also, this does show that you're interested in them and, you know, you want to learn more about them. You want to be friends and colleagues with them, you know? I think one of the biggest points of being a better conversationalist is being able to listen. And people think, oh, to hold a good conversation, you just need to chat. Actually, you need to be able to chat and sit back and listen. When you're having a conversation, it's between two or more people, right? If you're just talking, you're not allowing the other person to even enjoy the conversation. They're probably going to get bored, I'm not going to lie. I've definitely had situations where people have just been talking non-stop, like a lecture, and I've just been a little bit bored because I'm like, this is not conversation, this is not fun. I'm just sat here because you're just talking, not letting me even speak. And it's the same for you. If you're just talking, let them talk and listen, and don't butt in, don't cut them off. That's the worst thing, I think. You know, when people are talking about like their icks, I haven't actually had anyone say this actually before. One of my icks with a conversation is cutting me off. Don't do that. And obviously we all make mistakes. We accidentally cut each other off. I've done it so many times, especially like at work on Teams calls. You accidentally cut people off. It can't be helped. But if you're doing it all the time, just don't cut people off, please, okay? If you want to be good at talking to people, if you want people to want to talk to you, let them speak, listen to them. Especially with making friendships. A lot of friends care about whether you care enough to listen to them. And if you're not listening, they're probably just not going to want to be friends with you. It is a two-way thing though. You want them to listen to you and you need to listen to them. That's just how conversation works. I actually used to have this friend like literally years and years ago, and I genuinely don't think she knows a thing about me. I don't think she knows my hobbies, anything about my family. I don't think she knew anything about me, but I knew her whole life story. I could tell you everything about that girl, okay? No hate to her, great person, but that was partly my fault, okay? I will take responsibility because I was very shy back then and I wasn't a very good conversationalist. So she probably was just speaking to fill the gaps of my silence. So I'll let her off, okay? But this is just an example of people that just talk, don't ask you questions, they don't listen, they don't care. It just shows that the friendship is just a little bit like this because you know everything about them, you care about them, you're interested in them, and it's just not really reciprocated. So make sure if you are trying to create conversation, really listen to them. You don't want to be that annoying person that just talks at everyone and doesn't let anyone else speak. Think about topics to talk about. I want you to take it as a way of preparation, not a way of stress and overthinking. I don't want you to be sat there like analysing the topics and like, oh, I could talk about that, but then they might get bored of that or they might find it fun. No. Just come up with a few topics that you could ask anyone in the world. I'll give you examples. So travel. Travel's not boring, okay? So don't even start analysing. Going on holidays, everyone loves it, so that's fine. And you could talk to your grandparents about it, okay? Even if they don't travel anymore, you could say, oh, like, have you been to Greece before? Because I'm going, like, you know, tell me all about it. Your colleagues, they've probably got holidays booked or they've been on holidays. Your manager, you can ask anyone in the world about travel and they will probably have a response to it. Even if they don't, then you can just say, oh, well, I'm going here, or I was thinking about going there. It's an easy one and it's actually fun and it's exciting and you can apply it to anyone. You're not going to plan your conversation, okay? You're just going to ask the question. These are just almost question and like conversation starters to initiate conversation. This isn't for you to start planning out your whole conversation, okay? Because that is not good for you. You're going to overthink it and then you're going to stumble on your words. It's like you don't want to over prepare, but you just want to prepare a couple topics. Family, especially if you're at work, everyone loves talking about their family. Like, you know, I don't know, they might be doing a hobby that they're really proud of their like niece, you know, or something. Obviously, if you know, say they've got a daughter, just be like, oh, like how's your family doing? How's your daughter? You know, pets. Oh my gosh, animals is such a good one. I feel like the majority of people are animal lovers, so I feel like you can usually not go wrong with that conversation. I could talk about my dog all day, and if someone came over to me and was like, how's your dog doing, I'd be like, oh my gosh, thanks for asking, I'd love that. And so I feel like that's a very easy one as well. There's always the simple ones of like, obviously if you get back from Christmas and you're like, oh, how was your Christmas, how was your New Year's, how was your Easter, how was your summer holidays, how was your weekend, is such an easy one, and you know that can lead on to other conversations and it can just flow really easy. Don't overthink it. They can be such simple topics like that. I feel like what you want to avoid is making a statement. I have made this mistake before when I've just said something like, oh my gosh, it's so cold. You know, you can't make a conversation out of just complaining. Sometimes when you just say something, people can just go, ah, yeah, it is. And it's just like a conversation stopper. I feel like questions are easier to build upon rather than just making a statement. I really hope these ideas helped you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.